I now recognize Mr. Stanton for 5 minutes.
Madam Chair, thank you so much for recognizing me. I want to thank Chairman DeFazio for holding this important hearing. I want to thank each of the witnesses here today for providing important testimony on this critically important issue that is growing in concern. Cyber attacks against our water systems have become more frequent, sophisticated, and dangerous. Back in February, a hacker gained access to the Oldsmar water treatment facility in Florida. Their goal was to increase the level of sodium hydroxide, otherwise known as lye, in the drinking water. While Oldsmar was lucky that the facility's operator was at his computer and watching the hacker's attempts in real time, the results, if they had been successful, could have been seriously harmful to residents and businesses who rely on that water for drinking water. Approximately 90% of our country's public water supplies and 80% of the wastewater utilities are small and serve fewer than 10,000 people. The hack at Oldsmar demonstrates the vulnerability of small systems and the challenges they face in preparing for and responding to these threats. Compared to larger water systems, these systems have smaller budgets, limited resources, sometimes only a small number of employees to handle a significant amount of work. A cyber attack is just one more challenge they confront, so they must be strategic in how they approach this constantly evolving threat. Mr. Sullivan, you mentioned in your testimony that Boston Water and Sewer Commission, where you are the chief engineer, you suffered from a ransomware attack last year. What do you believe are the lessons learned from that attack and one that I described in Oldsmar for other water and wastewater utilities, particularly small, rural, and tribal systems where they might not have as much access to staff with cyber expertise or financial resources?
Well, thank you, Congressman. We have been working many years to build up our cyber preparedness, along with most of your large water systems and wastewater systems. The problem we had was this: it was the human element. One of our staffers allowed an email, a phishing email, and he opened it up, and he did not report that there was nothing there when he opened it up. What happened there is some malware got into our system, a Quackbot, and it sat for over a month because we were able to trace it back later. The human element here is our biggest weakness, and we know that. We've got all kinds of systems. Our firewalls are secure. We're stopping things every day. We're getting attacked every day. The cybersecurity awareness, a culture of awareness in every system is the most important thing we need to do. And that is, we need to get to training. Many of these small systems you're recognizing, they're struggling with making sure we get pure water out there, that we're struggling with the new regulations of contaminants. On the wastewater group, same thing. We struggle with producing the product that we're required to do. And many of the small ones may have IT systems that they don't even know how they run. They hired someone, they came in, a miracle occurred, all of a sudden you could operate from home and life was good. They don't have the awareness, and that's what we're trying to do through the ISAC, is continually remind people, pay attention, read these, we work with CISR, et cetera, read all these reports, make sure you're doing this, but they don't have the resources to hire people to check everything out. And that is one of the major hurdles we have, because we do have 50,000 water systems and 16,000 wastewater systems.
You mentioned ISAC, the Water Information Sharing and Analysis Center, which was established, of course, 10 years ago to provide water utilities with critical information on threats, both physical and cyber related, along with best practices for preventing and responding to those attacks. I mentioned earlier tribal communities and challenges that the water systems on tribal communities face. I wanted you to address that. What specific outreach or work has ISAC done with our tribal communities? And if not, do you have plans to reach out to our tribal communities to make it a part of its work?
The ISAC is a subscription service. We have over 400 members that cover much of the nation. But we also have the states. The states are part of the ISAC. They get all our information so that the states, through their resources, can reach out to smaller systems, the tribals, et cetera. We are asking for additional resources to have the subscriptions for everyone, every water and wastewater systems paid for, so that we can reach everyone and give them the help they need. We want to be able to take these threats and boil them down to what it means for each size system, so that they can look at them. They don't have to
All
read
right.
these lengthy documents worrying about everything.
I'm out of time, but my request is that maybe ISAC will reach out to those tribal communities and the water systems there. It's so critically important that we provide clean water to our tribal members. And often they don't have the same resources as others, but they have the same needs for their community. So my request is that ISAC see what they can do to better reach out to our tribal communities in Arizona and around the country. Thank you. I yield back.